Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Chris Williams.
Welcome. We are so glad that you are with us today. In studio, I have Marc Cameron. Marc, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Chris.
And I have Dr. Jill Hubbard. Jill, how you doing?
I am doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good.
All right, what's on your mind?
Oh, am I supposed to share what's on my mind?
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to know. I'm really curious.
Okay, well, I have been thinking about things that we experience in the form of tragedies. And more on kind of a macro level, the macro tragedies that we all experience that touch all of our lives. Similar but different from kind of the micro tragedies, which happen very personally.
Yes.
Something in our family, someone dies suddenly in our family, and that's our own tragedy, or we find out some horrific news, right?
Yes.
And that's on a very personal level, and it touches us very deeply and has its own set of circumstances. But I'm looking and thinking more about, because there has been a lot that has happened recently and over time of things that happen that are shocking to us corporately. All of us, right, experience things that are shocking and that are tragedies that we think shouldn't happen. And so what do we do with these? Because it's really important, I think, to grieve corporately with others and to mourn the losses that happen. And every day we're hit in the news, and we've had some pretty big things recently, but even going back to like 9/11.
Yes.
And I think about how the nation came together after 9/11 and how we all process that. And even on the anniversaries, people talk about remember where you were and how important that is to do and to allow the time and the space.
Yes.
And it's really important that when things happen on a macro scale, we also think about, what if this were just like in my family? Like we hear of a rock star who has died. Yes. Or a former president who was shot, right? It's like, what if that had been my family member? Yes. So we personalize it, but then it leaves us, I think, feeling unsafe. Yeah. Right? And so I think it's really important to bring those feelings into relationship with other people. I think that it tends to, first of all, life is unpredictable. Yes. And we have this false sense of control, that somehow we're going to be able to control circumstances. And then we are thrust, when we hear something, into realizing, oh my gosh, we can't always control every variable, right? So what do we do then? Well, some of it is we can either go into despair and feel totally defeated and hide in our houses, right? Or we can build some resiliency and some ways of coping through the grieving, through the processing. We can refocus on what's really essential and important. And sometimes when life is good, we really get into our minor complaints. We complain about this and our discomforts, and we complain about other people, and we get really polarized. But when something happens that's bigger, it pulls us together in a way that I think is really vital. Yes. For people to say, wait a minute, all that other stuff is kind of noise. What is really important, and what is important about being human together?
I think that's really good, because there is this idea that, it's like against each other, but we're all in this together.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I think what's so powerful is sometimes when there is a tragedy, you have these corporate moments of silence. No one's talking, but we're just together reflecting. So sometimes a lot more powerful than any words someone could say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just being together.
Yeah. And there's just some truths here. We need other people. We need people. We need to be together. Life is hard. Life is difficult. Those are just facts.
Those are facts.
And we're all going to experience that corporately and in unique ways, and we need each other. Let us here at New Life be there for you.
I had been in porn addiction. My past had not been found out at all. Yet I had hit a point in my life where it was time.
Men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The Every Man's Battle Intensive can help.
I never divulged what I'd been doing.
Find help today at New Life's Every Man's Battle Intensive.
This is a place that changed my life in such a positive way for Christ, because I could be the Christian man that I'm called to be.
Now the intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, December 6th through the 8th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I cannot say enough what it does in the Christian community for not just men, for their children, for their wives.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. It's Chris Williams with Dr. Jill Hubbard and Marc Cameron. And I just want to mention this. New Life has a great network of counselors and coaches nationwide. If you're looking for a counselor and you're like, I can't find one, or looking for a good coach to work through a specific life issue on, I can't find one, give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or just go online. I think can reach some resources there, but mostly give us a call at our call center, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we can connect you with a professional in your area. Right now, we like to connect with Joe in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, listening to us on Sirius XM. Joe, glad you're with us today. How can we help you?
Yes, hi. How's everybody doing?
Doing well. And you?
Yes, I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah. My question is that I've been married for over 3 decades, have one teenage boy. The last few years, me and my wife's intimacy has plunged to nothing. Now she has had some issues with health, and I totally understand that. And I, as a husband, tried to be there and help her and suggest different things. However, what I'm trying to figure out is, how do I deal with all these emotions with myself, being that there's basically no intimacy.
So Joe, you're talking about sexual intimacy, physical intimacy.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And what are some of the emotions coming up for you?
I feel alone. Even though I try to connect and talk, I do still feel alone. I don't feel that she wants to listen to me because I'm shut down, and she thinks I'm just wanting, sex.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm gonna be honest. I'm a man, and I'm gonna be honest about that. Yes, it's on my mind.
Yeah.
But she once said a few years ago that she was no longer interested in sex, and that kind of I didn't understand that. So I kind of basically I had to force myself, to suppress my feelings. Because, there's no other way around it. So it's very difficult. We've been to counseling, and actually we're going to counseling now, but nothing's really brought up. So I just want to know how can I, deal with this, because there's other, it's basically it's separated us apart.
Yeah, it's really having a deep negative impact on the marriage.
Joe, why is nothing brought up in therapy?
That's a good question. I brought it up, and the counselor talked about it shortly, and then it went to the wayside, and I don't know. She basically just, shuts it down and says that there's no intimacy, no type of sex, and obviously, but it's just very, as you can tell in my voice, I'm struggling with it, and and trying to figure it out, because, I mean, we're both Christians, and we both, agree there. But when I say something like, well, it's biblical, and I'm not trying to, obviously, there's different things that come up, but I mean,
is your counselor a male or a female?
A male.
And is he a Christian to you?
I look for a Christian.
Okay.
Yes, yes, he is.
So Joe, therapy is a collaboration, and so you want to make sure that, especially if they're pressing needs, that those are addressed in therapy. I mean, you're paying for the service. What you can do, if you're a little bit hesitant to bring it up in session, is you might ask your couples therapist if you can have a phone call, or you might email him your concern. Now, most therapists have a no secrets policy. I have a no secrets policy, but if somebody comes to me separately, it doesn't mean that I'm not willing to talk to them. It means that, I'm not going to hide that fact, keep a secret from the other party. And so it's appropriate for you to be able to contact your therapist and say, hey, this is a real pressing issue for me, and I really like to talk about it. I'm a little bit hesitant to bring it up in therapy, and I'm not really sure how to. Can you bring this up for me, and can we spend some dedicated time talking about it? And you may even also ask him, can you help me understand how you've helped other people in the past, and what do you think the best way to bring this up is, and see what that way you'll be able to get a gauge for what his expertise and his position on it all is. And then you could also even ask for feedback for yourself too, separately.
Okay.
Well, and what about even starting with the idea that when I bring up things that feel important to me, I feel shut down? And how can we process, or can we process this idea that I feel like some of my needs are dismissed? And how can I better bring my needs into the room? So I think to look at how you talk about things, because I'm hearing that regardless of the topic, even though this is maybe the main topic that gets shut down, you're feeling shut down. And there needs to be room for both of you to talk about things. I would also wonder, Joe, like if you were to give a grade to your emotional intimacy with your wife, because you have to remember, sex for women is through emotional intimacy. If we don't feel emotionally connected, we're not going to give our bodies away. And so a lot of times, men can go from fighting to let's jump into bed, and that solves it for them. But for us women, it doesn't work. So what's your emotional intimacy like?
Well, currently, I love her. I do, physically touch her, but, we haven't kissed in a while.
Okay, those are all physical things.
Yeah, so I was going to say, Joe, you're talking about physical stuff.
Right.
Jill's talking about emotional connection. So how are you connecting in emotions?
Like heart to heart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel that we're not connected. I try really hard to look and talk and get feedback, and I approach her, and it's I don't feel like there's no two-way street.
Okay.
So I just kind of accepted and just said, okay, this is how it's going to be.
Do you have any ideas about why your wife might be shut down to you?
Other than, she's had some physical pain, and I understand that, but as far as sex goes, but I really don't know.
Does she feel safe with you? Does she feel like you listen to her? Does she feel understood? You care about her feelings. You're able to listen and to maybe mirror back to her what you're hearing her say. You care about her hurts.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, I had said something a while back. I probably shouldn't say, but and she thinks that I'm going to leave, and I said, we've been married for over 3 years. I said, but I just
3 years or 30?
I mean, over 30 years, yeah. And and I get a little upset, and I'm like, well, maybe, and I probably shouldn't have said it, but and she says that bothers her because she feels unstable. I said, well, we've been married 30 years. I'm just saying it, a little bit upset. I'm in anger.
Well, Joe,
but I want to.
Well, Joe, here, if you don't mind me jumping in, it's clear to me that you and your wife are not talking about you and your wife.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of things going on the inside. On the inside of you, on the inside of her, and when it comes out sideways, and therefore it creates more confusion, it creates more hurt feelings. And so really when you said loneliness, that really spoke to what Jill was referring to. This is much more like in the most active marriages, how much time can you spend being sexually active? It's actually a minute amount of time. That our relationships our marriages are much, much, much bigger than that. Especially the emotional and relational and spiritual and all the other different ways of connection and intimacy. And this loneliness speaks to and I think that, of course, like you're saying, I respect my wife and where she is physically and the difficulty that she has in sexual activity, which is to be respected and honored. But also, it's like there's no follow-up conversation about this and what it means and what it doesn't mean. And, hey, what was her experience like? What was your life? How was it different? There's so much more that's not being communicated here.
Yeah, and I think if you're not going to get to the core of the issue, you're going to stay in the cycle of sexual frustration. And the cycle of sexual frustration is, a woman typically doesn't feel emotionally connected, so she doesn't want to give of her body. And then a man's not getting that physical release, and so he says, I don't want to connect with you emotionally. And so you just stay stuck in the cycle. And now sex, it should really be a byproduct of intimacy. Right? Yeah. It's when two people feel like they're connected and they love each other and they care for each other and they support and they trust each other, then sex occurs out of that. Oftentimes at the beginning of the relationship, it has to do with physical attraction, and that's how sex occurs. But as the relationship develops and matures, sex becomes a byproduct. Now, what's really difficult for men is that men have a biological buildup. They are constantly producing testosterone and a buildup of sperm inside them. And women don't have that. Women's hormones go on a cycle, and they don't have this need for a physical release in general. And so men can often see women as being the gatekeeper. And then when you have to then, like you said, I've spoken to many men about this, quote unquote, shut down your desire. Well, the only way to shut down your desire is to also take away wanting to be connected with her. Because if you move close and you touch and you want to be connected, then the byproduct of that is intimacy. Hey, I want to have sex with you. So you really, if you don't really have a good gauge of what it is that you're missing from her, that's really the crux of what needs to be spoken about. And you will need to own threatening to leave, or if you spiritualize it and say women should do this, because if she doesn't feel safe, she's not going to want to give herself in the most vulnerable way to you.
Yeah.
And so even finding out and asking her what she needs from you, what is missing for her in the relationship.
But go to your counselor and facilitate, because you have to facilitate the discussion. That's who you're paying to do this. So ask this person, how can he help you? And if not, maybe you need to find someone who can help you in this area.
And I think that's a really critically important reminder for all of us. I mean, just last week I had a person working with me, and I just knew that there was a person better fit for them. And better equipped for this. It's okay to change therapists. It's okay to find someone who is more in line with what you're looking for. And so finding a person who's...
But first attempt to bring it in the room.
Absolutely.
If you don't bring it into the room, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's really. But we're going to send you, Joe, a copy of How We Love. And again, that's going to allow you and your wife, and I hope that you both read it, you read it together, and just to begin that conversation about what is happening on the inside of us that we're not talking about on the outside of us. And
I'm going to suggest another book. It's not one that we carry, but it's called God, Sex, and Your Marriage by Dr. Julie Slattery.
Oh, good.
It's a really, really good book. Look into that, Joe.
So, Joe, thank you so much for calling us today. And we are cheering on your marriage. Also, we also have Intimacy in Marriage throughout the year. If your marriage is struggling, the Intimacy in Marriage Intensive will be such a great resource and tool for you. We'll be back right after this.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hid with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I would up getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Daniel Grossman on coaching.
Coaches are really focused on the future and helping people to develop those skills and those strategies to help them move forward in their life. A coach really partners with you to focus on things like personal growth or health goals, spiritual growth, helping you develop in your career or possibly strengthening your relationships or maybe even breaking free from a negative pattern.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been screened and certified with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches use different techniques. Some like to use strategic questions and accountability, ultimately empowering you to take those next steps towards your goals.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a New Life coach today.
I really believe that everyone can use a coach in their corner.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. I am in studio with Marc Cameron and Dr. Jill Hubbard, and we would love for you to be with us as well. And so we would love for Wendy, who is a Club New Life member, listening in Pensacola, Florida, listening on Sirius XM, to be with us. And so, Wendy, what do you have for us today?
Yeah. How you doing? I love that last call. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I am a very task-oriented person, and I have my husband and I, who've been married for a long time. I have a 24-year-old, our only child, and he has a boyfriend that we don't like. We don't not like him kind of as a person, but she's been going out with him for several years now, and they moved into each other. And this is really triggered for me because he's not financially responsible. He comes from a very not that we aren't all dysfunctional, but very dysfunctional, broken up, multiple marriages, different moms and dads with all the kids. And I feel like she is such a kind heart that she is being a mother and taking care of him instead of allowing him to be a man because he just turned 25.
Okay.
And so, again, because I'm sort of more a task and financial, looking at future and saying, how will he and we just took a family trip, and he joined us with relatives. And, you know, I thought that probably would expose to her, like, what I consider things that he needs to work on, that we all have to work on.
You said that your daughter is 25. Is that correct?
She's turning 24 this August.
Turning 24. Okay. Guess what? She has 24 years of knowing what your family looks like.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. So exposure.
Unfortunately, yes.
But there's some fortunate things in there as well. But I just mentioned that because this idea that a family vacation will wake her up is kind of maybe a little bit misguided.
Well, it was with relatives, going up and spending time with other families you don't get to see a lot, with grandma and sisters and brothers, nephews, that kind of. Not just like, hey, we're going to Club Med kind of thing.
Yes, yeah.
Wendy, what does your daughter like about her boyfriend?
Well, she likes probably the things that, you know, I've asked her that question, and I think because he's fun. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
He's fun, and he's, like I said, childlike, and just likes to be whatever. And that we all like to have fun. But I've always grown up, and I'm sorry I had to tell my daughter this, but I said, you know, it is work first and play later. Playing is good. I can't even tell you how many fun times and things we have. But you also have adult responsibilities that you need to not procrastinate, and you have to.
Yeah, and that's true. That is true. A responsibility is a key part of relationships, but also so is emotional connection. And now I'm hearing you talk about that she's mothering him. All behavior is learned. Wendy, where do you think that she learned? Where do you think that she learned to mother from?
Oh, definitely not me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, of course. I'm the one. I am. I'm like a helicopter mom with my child.
Yeah, so she's just
I get it.
She's repeating behavior that she's learned, and for some reason she sees him as being a little less helpless than she is. And now sometimes people who, I mean, some of this stuff is on a spectrum here. I'm very action oriented. You know, like I'm just a doer. I like to get things done. But some people can be task oriented rather than action oriented, and they focus more on tasks than they do on relationships. And generally, I find that those folks have an avoidant attachment style, where that's not you.
So that's probably.
Oh, that's probably you, right? And so that's the number one thing for you is responsibility. And like I said, those things are not a bad thing, but she's looking at the relational piece of it, and there's something for her that he's filling. And I bet it's probably a little bit more than fun in there, but it sounds like fun is a key piece for her. And so she's 24 years old at this point. And so, yeah, I mean, there's part of it that you are going to have to step back and allow her to make her own decision. But it doesn't mean that you don't have influence in her life. And so you might start to ask her, you know, again, a little bit more about what are questions, what are things that she likes about him, what does he do, what does he provide for her? And maybe even ask her, is she aware that you don't like him?
Oh, she is.
Yeah, you might even start to ask her that question. How does that impact you? Where, you know, knowing that I don't really like him and maybe your husband doesn't either.
Yeah, but you know what, again, it's not the person themselves. It's his behaviors and his unwillingness
for sure.
Like, have adult conversations.
Yeah.
Right?
So
I am separating out.
So Wendy.
I hear your music.
Yeah. So good. Thank you. Hear the music. I want you to consider a question as we go to break. What am I afraid of? And we'll answer that right after this.
I had been in porn addiction. My past had not been found out at all, yet I had hit a point in my life where it was time.
Men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The Everyman's Battle Intensive can help.
I never divulged what I'd been doing.
Find help today at New Life's Everyman's Battle Intensive.
This is a place that changed my life in such a positive way for Christ, because I could be the Christian man that I'm called to be.
Now the intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, December 6th through the 8th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I cannot say enough what it does in the Christian community for not just men, for their children, for their wives.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information, not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are talking with Wendy. She has a daughter who is deep in it with a boyfriend that is not of your approval.
No.
Okay, so...
No, you wouldn't pick him.
You wouldn't pick him for her, yeah. Not your top choice. Okay, so Wendy, going into the break, I asked this question. What are you afraid of? In this situation, what are you afraid of? Were you able to answer that question?
I am. It all boils down to, will she be cared for? And not that she has to be married to a millionaire. Mm-hmm. So will she have someone that if she wants to start a family, if she wants, that he can step up and provide? Because, you know, I know they have AA for Alcoholics Anonymous.
So hold on.
Don't.
I'm going to jump in because you're getting to his solution. Don't get to his solution yet. Stay.
Oh, okay. What am I going to do for me?
Yeah. All right. Now you're getting.
Oh, you mean like I have? Oh, me. Okay.
Yeah,
so
but I have another curiosity question though.
Yeah.
Were you taken care of?
Was I taken care of?
I mean, you had a
by
family.
My husband, you mean?
What's Dad like?
Oh, yeah, Dad takes care of things. Although he was military, retired now, but I've always been I got married later. I've always been sort of an independent person, and my background is in banking and finance. Go figure. So I never had a problem with handling the money and managing it, but he had, as a pilot in the Air Force, and then out of the Air Force and having a good career, I don't have to worry about it.
So remember I said all behavior is learned. Where did you learn to become independent?
Oh, definitely. You know, it was that era. I was born in the 60s. Mom and Dad were hands-off. Totally hands-off.
Yeah.
You
just figured it out.
Your college education, and you just figured it out. So I need to go to something anonymous for
But you've got really good insight.
Finance Anonymous. Or
You've got really good insight here, Wendy, is that you compensated when parents are hands-off, when parents don't explore the emotional world of a child, and this happens for various reasons. The child learns that that connection's not going to happen, and when they have to provide for their own needs, they learn that they can't rely on others. They have to do things themselves, and they shut part of their internal world down, and they focus on, how do I get my own needs met? And that forms this avoidant attachment style. Usually avoiders are just, they're follow through, they get it done kind of folks. And, we can only give what we have, right? And so we give over the attachment style that we have, and it sounds like, a lot of the message that you've given to your daughter growing up is, responsibility first, fun later. And I wonder if there was a little bit of that emotional connection, or she's been a little bit fun starved. And so now she's drawn to the fun and how attractive that is, because that meets a need that she's wanting to explore that she didn't get to explore here.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I can tell you a lot of fun stories that we have, and we share them. But you're right. I think definitely my viewpoint always is about the work. And so if I can step back, what would be the conversation to start with my daughter is, I'm not,
Wendy,
not loving you.
Well, hold on.
Because it was always out of love, right?
Sure, of course.
Yeah. But if I can go one step further on that, each and every single one of us, inside of us, has a security magnet. And it's going to be drawn to the thing that we think will give us the most sense of security and safety. It's like a comfort magnet. Okay?
Yeah.
Not all of our magnets are created equally. Right? So I have a comfort magnet like you. My comfort magnet is, if we are financially secure, I am secure. I can do life. If we are financially insecure, then I'm insecure. I cannot do life. My wife does not have that same magnet. My wife does not care. And I'm really fortunate.
Opposites attract.
Yes. My wife says, if I am relationally and emotionally connected to you, secure, if I'm emotionally secure, then I am secure. And if I'm not, it sounds like your daughter doesn't have the same magnet that you have.
Yep, it doesn't.
Right?
So we're those magnets, when you put them together and they won't stick.
Yep. You're
opposite electrodes.
You're a step ahead.
Yeah. And think about what you said. Opposites attract. Her boyfriend sounds like he's the very opposite of you, and she is attracted to something in that. Right?
We are attracted to what we don't have or what we long for.
You're not wrong to have this fear. I think most parents will have that. They want their kids to be taken care of.
That's
you
good.
are not wrong here for wanting somebody to be responsible. The thing is he's not exactly like you. He's not task-oriented. And he's young, too. He's still got, he's just right now getting a fully formed adult brain.
Not even maybe quite yet. Maybe needs another year.
It's almost there. It's almost there.
Thank you for letting me know that. So that gives me a little bit of hope.
Well, and I think with your daughter, Wendy, you're recognizing some things about yourself. And sometimes that's really good to admit to our kids and say, what was it like growing up with a mom who's very task-oriented and pushed responsibility?
I don't want to hear that.
What was it like being on the receiving end of me? And really let your daughter talk about that.
Yeah.
I think that's very important.
Can I write that down really quick?
Sure.
Say that for her. Okay. So say that again.
What's it like, daughter, being on the receiving end of me? Or growing up with a mom who is very task-oriented and hovering, making sure you were being responsible all the time. What was that like for you?
And I hear this from clients all the time who have a similar experience, who had very consistent parents who took care of their physical needs. And I'll ask them this, how did you feel around your parents? Did you feel safe? And they'll say things like, yeah, I did. I knew that, they were going to be there for me. They were going to take me to my games. I knew I had clothes. I knew I had food. I knew my parent loved me. But then when I asked them about emotional connection, did you feel connected? Did they provide comfort? could you go to them with your sadness? They'll say no. And so and we're not perfect parents. We all get it wrong somewhere. And it's just what's most important is that we are able to recognize where we get it wrong and to be able to bring that up and talk about it with our kids. And so you probably did a fantastic job in the physical safety world for your daughter, but maybe there's some opportunity in the emotional connection piece. And maybe that's what you need to explore with her.
And I would also encourage you guys, okay, your daughter sees something in this guy. Maybe you need to trust her a little bit more, give her a little more credit, excuse me, and lean in and try to find something likable about him. And forge a relationship with him. And then at some point, if they are deciding to get married, I think it's appropriate for dad to say, okay, we love and accept you, but here are our concerns for our daughter. I mean, I think that's a man-to-man kind of conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
At this age, the key thing here, Wendy, is to remain influential. You don't want to separate yourself out where, especially then if problems do occur, then she may not want to come to you because you've already made up your mind about him. So it's learning to be able to remain influential in their lives where you can point things out in a curious kind of way, but you also have a relationship built with them so that you can do that.
And I think really what I also want to encourage you with, again, I love that, be influential, but we forget a real key indicator here. We figured it out. And did we have it all together in our 20s?
Right?
Or not. But no one is going to figure it out for us.
Right.
And so that's the benefit of the doubt. Yes, are we going to make less than ideal choices, sometimes even poor choices throughout our life? Or are we going to have to figure things out along the way? And I think starting with that baseline, because when our comfort magnet is offended, it writes a bad story. As opposed to, wait a second, we all had to figure it out. My daughter is smart. Right. She's resourceful. This guy she's with, he's going to figure it out. I now, as Wendy, get to go to work on my fears that disconnect rather than the trust that connects.
And we're either driven by fear or love.
Yeah.
It's one of those two.
Yeah.
And when we're driven by fear, we go to control. We don't make great choices.
Absolutely. So, Wendy, we're going to send you a copy of Jim Burns' book, Doing Life with Our Adult Children. Hopefully that will give you some great directions and hopefully lead you to some more really, really good conversations with your daughter and her boyfriend. And we will be back with another call right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for your life and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639 5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. I have Dr. Jill Hubbard, Marc Cameron, myself, Chris Williams. We're in studio, and we just love talking with you guys and working together to help figure out some challenging things. And so we're going to go to Eileen, listening in Sacramento, California on KFIA. Eileen, how are you doing today? How can we help you?
Oh, I'm thrilled to be able to get through to you guys. I'm a long-time listener of New Life Live, back to when the hosts were introduced as the boys.
The boys, yes. Fortunately, we've graduated beyond the boys.
Yes.
Beyond the boys.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have a problem with my adult daughter. 44 years ago, I gave birth to the original strong-willed child. And unfortunately, her dad, her biological dad, left when she was born, but I remarried when she was 2. And her stepfather was a good father and kind of the disciplinarian. But after we divorced, when she was about 16, she's just very, very strong-willed, as I said, very judgmental, and has kind of taken over has a running commentary on how I run my life and how I spend my time. And I want to maintain a respectful relationship with her, but I don't know where to put the boundary.
Yeah. What are some of the things she says to you, Eileen?
Oh, goodness. This was yesterday. Like I said, a lot of it has to do with how I spend my time, and I've been helping with an elderly aunt that recently fell and broke her hip, and she needs to move to a different care. And so she asked me to back off and let her other family members take care of it, but they weren't. And I said I would do my best to try and stay out of it because she felt it wasn't my business. But I did do a little more work and stuff surrounding that, and she accused me. She said, "You lied to me. You lied to my face. You told me you were not going to do this, and you did." And I felt like that really crossed the line. I didn't lie to her. I told her I was going to make an effort to listen to her counsel, which I do tend to, overextend myself and think of other people before myself, sometimes to my own detriment. So I know her motive.
Well, right. Is she concerned about you, Eileen, health-wise, emotionally?
She is health-wise. She's really concerned.
Okay.
And it's valid. It's valid.
Okay. And would she be the one that would have to take care of you if you let your health go?
She's probably concerned that she would. Her younger brother is all the way across the country and in the military. So, yeah.
Okay, so some of it is her concern for you, but it's also concern for herself. And
right, and
both your
Her
lifestyles.
best friend just recently lost her mother, who was only a couple years older than me, to health issues.
Yeah.
That just kind of spiraled out of control.
Yeah, there's a lot going on inside of her.
Yeah.
So what's the question for us?
I'm just wondering, how do I respond when, how do I respond? I know she's coming from a place, there's a lot, there's a lot involved.
For sure.
There's fear, there's concern for me, there's concern for her,
Yeah.
But it kind of crosses.
Yeah, let us say, yeah, for sure. Well, when it gets judgmental and critical and, yeah.
Right. And I think, Eileen, you can certainly acknowledge that you know that this comes from the best of intentions, because it's often good to give people the benefit of the doubt. But Eileen, I think you're appeasing your daughter when you don't really necessarily want to. And it sounds like it's very hard for you to say no to her or to let her know that you will consider her suggestions, but there's no guarantee that you will do what she says. And some of this is owning, what do you want to do? Because it's almost like you're beholden to your daughter, and so you don't want her mad at you, so you go, okay, yeah, I'll try. And so it sets up this dynamic where she's almost being the parent and you're kind of the teenager that's sneaking out.
You have absolutely nailed it. Mm-hmm. That is exactly how the dynamic is. So it's like the roles have flipped, and now she's parenting me.
Yes.
And I'm like the bad child.
And does she have a teenager at home?
No, she never got married. Okay. She never had children. She's a career person with a very demanding career.
So you're who she has, right?
Yeah. So we want to get to a solution here, right?
Yes.
Okay. So hear what Jill said about the dynamic. Mm-hmm. You got to break the dynamic.
Yeah, you've got to change the dance here with her, and maybe ask her what she's afraid of. I mean, her best friend just lost her mother. She may be very afraid. You are all she has in terms of the closest family member, since she's not married and doesn't have her own children. And so that could be, as strong as she is, that could be frightening for her. So I think it's good to address that, but also the fact that you realize and you need to own that sometimes you're seeing kind of there's this role reversal, and sometimes you say yes to her when you really mean maybe or no.
Yeah.
And that. Correct. And so in that way, you're not being fully honest with her, and you realize you need to say to her, I'm going to make my own choices here, hard as that is.
And addressing her own fears. Mm-hmm. So, Eileen, you have fears as your daughter has fears, and you guys aren't talking about your fears.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's okay to say to your daughter when she tells you what she thinks that you should do, thanks for your advice or thanks for your concern, I'll think about that. Yes. And then that way it leaves it open for you to be able to make a decision. Now, Jill's right here. It's and Chris, it's fear that's driving this. And again, there's some things that have happened in her life where her friend just lost her mother. But it also sounds like this is more of a pattern.
Yes.
Because you said 44 years ago, she came out as strong-willed. And so learning to acknowledge what is going on inside of her, that she has feelings. But also learning to be able to stand up and assert that you have self-autonomy to make decisions, and that you're going to make the decisions that you think are best for you. And it's because it's a double standard when she's telling you what not to do with someone else, right? Because the irony is she's telling you.
Yeah. So
exactly.
And it is the irony, because I've tried really hard to allow my adult children to be adults.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
To make their own decisions.
Yeah.
And not lord over them or try and impose on them.
Yeah. So Eileen, we're coming up to the end of the show. But here's what I want you to really, really consider. Okay. To break patterns like this usually needs a third person that's an expert.
Okay.
You and your daughter should get into some couples counseling.
Oh, really?
Yes, absolutely. Because,
let's talk about our feelings.
Yeah, let's talk about the fear, because we can't seem to do it with each other without it being reactive.
Because we both have strong personalities.
And part of that is that the criticism and judgment is a sideways protest, and you guys aren't hearing the protest. My guess is that there's a lot of history behind all of this, and you want a good relationship moving forward. So I'm going to encourage you to get into some good couples counseling. We're also going to send you guys How We Love, that shows you these core patterns of relationship and attachment. They'll help you reveal this as well. So, Eileen, thank you so much for calling in. Everyone, thank you so much for being with us, listening to us today, and we'll see you in another show.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.